Welcome to Broke Ass to Badass, where heart-led entrepreneurs learn to build the businesses and lives of their dreams with confidence, ease, and joy. This is the anti-hustle movement, and we're your coaches in badassery, Kimi and Pua.
Find out more at bledigital.com, and wherever you're listening to this, be sure to click subscribe so you never miss an episode.
In this episode, we interview Shanna Lee of thesoulfrequency.com. Shanna teaches women how to live powerfully and authentically, how to feel great in their bodies, be confident with who they are, and how to connect with their purpose. Her clients create fulfilling lives founded on alignment and intuition by locating their deepest truths and raising their energy frequency. She is the host of the Soul Frequency Show podcast and the author of The Soul Frequency, Your Healthy, Awakened, and Authentic Life. You guys are going to love this one. Sit back and enjoy. Hi, Shanna. Welcome to the podcast. We're so excited to talk with you today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you ladies and everybody that's listening in.
Yay. Well, I just know we know this is going to be a juicy conversation. We from the time we've spent talking with you, we know we're really aligned in the way that we do business and life. And so to kick things off, can you share with us a little bit about what you do in this world and, a little bit of your origin story, how you got to be doing this work?
Yeah. So, it's funny that you mentioned, business and life, and my perspective I have now after years of experience and tons of different things I've walked through in my life is that, business development is personal development and personal development is business development. And that there's not really a lot of lines in between the two of them. And I kind of came to that realization through my own life experience. From the time I was very young, had an intuitive gift that I was born with. And so I experienced life very differently than a lot of other people experience life. I like to say I was experiencing life in Technicolor and other people were seeing it in black and white. Mm-hmm. And it really was confusing to be a small child and experiencing those things. And I made a decision when I was about 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old, that I would just want to be normal, whatever normal is. I know there isn't a normal, but at the time I just wanted to really adopt, whatever I saw other people doing. That felt like, okay, well, then I'll fit in here, and then this will all make sense. And so I spent a lot of my life, chasing after what I call the American dream. So was saying to myself well, okay, I want to build a great business and I want to, get married to an amazing person and have 2.5 kids and, live this cookie cutter life that I felt like was the right thing to do. And in pursuit of that, a lot of long hours and a lot of hard work, because that's what we're supposed to do. And even if our health is failing or we're not feeling good, we tend to not really stop to look at those things, right? Because we're in pursuit of something. And after I spent 20 years building a career that was very successful in the real estate sector, I kind of stopped and I looked at my life and said, gosh, I've been running towards this for half of my lifetime, and this is not where I really want to be. So I didn't find happiness from it or fulfillment from it, the things that we ultimately are looking for. And I felt kind of lost in that. And it made me have to reevaluate a lot of things, how I was taking care of myself physically, my health. I had a bit of a health scare. I was diagnosed with skin cancer on the bridge of my nose, and that was a big wake-up call for me. And I had to really look at how I was living life. And I really feel like moments like that, when we have to reevaluate, do I want to work in the job that I'm working at or with this company that I'm working with, or how am I working in life? Those are really important questions to answer for yourself. And I think a lot of times we chase happiness and fulfillment in places that it's never found. And so I really started to use my intuitive gift and see that it was the biggest gift of my life, that it wasn't something that made me different or not normal, but it was something that I was gifted with that's really powerful. And so I started using it in my own life. And then I started helping other people with how to, heal their bodies, heal their minds, heal their hearts, and really bring forth and create what's inside of them that so wants to be heard and manifested in this lifetime. And so it's become a really powerful process that I call the anatomy of transformation. And I take people through it on a daily basis.
Holy moly. We love you. You knew that already. I'm haunted by the sentence that you said where we often chase happiness and fulfillment in places that it's never found. And that
Yeah.
could not be more true and more heartbreaking of a truth. And we just love the work that you're doing in the world to help people become aware of this, and then also aware that they have the power to choose and the power to change. And what I've heard through what you said was that we chase these things in our external environment and what other people seem to have found success in, instead of looking within and really finding it internally within ourselves. And I just I don't know, I just have chicken skin. It's just so beautiful the way that you put that. And I love that you shared that. And I hope that everybody is hearing this, because it's so important. And I often think when people tell me stories like, I had a health scare and that's what really woke me up to following my heart versus following my head. And I always think about a friend of mine it wasn't her, it was her father, who was dying of cancer. And her entire life changed because it made her realize that our time here is too short to be playing little bullshit games, instead of really digging into what we can do to feel happy, feel fulfilled, and serve the world. So we just want to commend you for the work you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. And, I think the thing that's we really have to step back and look at, because I think, it's not atypical to kind of step back for a second for a lot of people. And I've coached hundreds of people now, and there's certain patterns that show up in the human experience when you've spent, intimate time with that number of people. And what I know to be true is that there are times where our soul is always kind of calling to us, and we know this isn't exactly what I want to be doing, right? Even if we want to cover that feeling up, and even if we're not going to do anything about it, most people have that inkling, at least, or that deeper intuition that's saying, I'm not sure this is it. And yet then the next step is, well, I have no idea what to do about that. And what comes on the tail end of that is an intense amount of fear and doubt, right? And the negative voice in the head. And then on the tail end of that is a world you've constructed around you that believes you to be the person you've been telling them that you are. And that world wants to hold you at a frequency and a resonance that they know you to be at, right? That they say, this is who this person is in my life, and this is what they do, and this is how they go about their day. And so there's some real powerful processes that I've learned to first confront what we are feeling inside of us, which is the fear and the doubt and the confusion that goes on when we're about to make big changes in our life. And the second part is, how do we enroll our community, right, in our evolution? And how do we get them on board with us and feeling excited for us and joyful for us, instead of taking on their fear and their doubt and having that really stop us on the path to creating the business and the life that we want. And so when we can look at it inside us and then within our community and have some tools around that, some really powerful openings happen for people.
So good. So can you share with us maybe a great place to start to sort of move our way in the direction? I know you mentioned the anatomy of transformation. We love this process. We've heard on your podcast how you take people through that. Is that where you would recommend people begin as they're sort of discovering what you call your soul frequency?
Yeah, and I call it the soul frequency. That's the way I interpret it. But it's the energetic flow in your body. It's your unique fingerprint, right? Like everybody has a different fingerprint. Everybody has a different soul energetic flow. And we know that because we have different friends and we love them for different reasons, right? Like somebody's really spicy and somebody's really funny. And so there is this energy to everybody that is unique. And when you bring that energy forth, meaning we stop worrying about fitting in, right? And we stop worrying about, oh, what should I be doing versus what I really want to be doing, something really powerful happens. And the 4-step process I take people through, the first step is truth. And truth is really about, what is my truth? Like separate from the collective, separate from my family, separate from what I've been told to believe. And it's a powerful inquiry. We have to ask ourselves all the time because we're constantly, being fed information, whether it's in the media, whether it's, through the people we know. And it's very hard sometimes to separate out what we believe to be our deep inner truth versus what other people's truths are that they've kind of handed over to us. And so once we kind of pull that apart and we're able to really powerfully connect to our own energy and figure out our truth, then we get, I like to call them our marching orders. Like, here's what can be created through me that feels in alignment with me, that feels good to me, right? And then we start working on some of that fear stuff and some of, how to communicate with our family members and the people in our lives and how to understand some of their reactions, because they're not always fun or easy, right? I mean, if you show up at, Thanksgiving and you say, hey guys, guess what? I'm going to change my whole life. You're going to probably have a table of people that are like, well, what about your retirement? What about this? What about that? Have you thought of this? Because it triggers the fear inside of them, right? And they really just love you and want you to be safe. And they feel like going outside the box of your life might not be safe for you. And so there's a lot of great work to do around that.
That's so huge. Thank you for sharing that also, like acknowledging that the people who appear to not support you are doing that usually out of love. And this journey as an entrepreneur can feel, especially solopreneurs, it can feel a bit lonely, and to not have the support of your family because they care, right? They want the best for you, but sometimes it comes off in a way that's very defeating and can make us feel even more alone. Like, I think it's really important to remember that they just are maybe not aware of the other opportunities, the other paths that we could take that would lead us to becoming more fulfilled, happier humans. And so that's kind of what we have decided to do for our communities, right? It's like, be the other person, be the cheerleader for people who are on this journey, going through the ups and the downs, and knowing that there is a community of people like you, like us, who are there, who have done it, who want everybody to experience like that pure joy that comes from doing what you love every day. So I know I'm not asking any questions. I'm just like praising the crap out of you because I just think it's so it's so important for people to hear these messages,
It is.
So awesome. I love it. Okay, here's a question. No, please
okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please ask your question.
Okay, so let's say somebody is like, they're listening to this and they're like, oh my gosh, there is the permission I've been looking for. I'm ready. Like, I'm unhappy. I want to move forward. I want to do what I love, and I know this is not what I'm doing right now is not the right path for me, but I am just not quite sure what that path is. What's your advice for people who are in that place?
So here's the interesting thing. I think we chase, from an intuitive standpoint, we chase after purpose, right? Like, we want to find our purpose. And if we feel like we aren't living that or don't, haven't found that yet in our life, we feel like, gosh, I need to go in pursuit of purpose. And it's not exactly accurate, like from an energy standpoint. So purpose just happens as a byproduct when your energy is aligned. Right. And so the question is, how do I align my energy? How do I really figure out who I am and live in accordance to that? When you start doing that, purpose just appears, right? Like, you can't stop it from appearing. So the two ways to align your energy is, one, to get to your truth, right? Like, what is mine? What do I believe separate from anybody else? And two is to release the things or emotions or even people from our lives that are not in alignment with who we are. And that is the sticky one, right? Because we just like to keep buying things and we don't want to get rid of anything, right? So we want to pile on, I'll just take more of this and more of this and more of this. And we don't realize the power in releasing things. And when I say release something, I don't mean in anger or frustration or any of that. Like, I mean, with love, we say, like, maybe I'm not supposed to live here anymore, right? Like, I've come to that truth. And so I can move out of the place that I'm living in because I know I'm feeling called to something else. And so I can release it with love and gratitude for where I've lived. You know what I mean? I've loved this space. I've grown here. I've become, who I am today. And now I'm growing to my next level. We're ultimately here to keep evolving. And so there's a really beautiful, kind of ceremonial process that I give to people about releasing the things we've outgrown. And we're going to outgrow things. Like we outgrow, you know what I mean? Outfits and clothes and things that we liked, 5 years ago, we don't wear today. And we then need to move on from those, right? And we invite in new energy when we invite in, new people and new circumstances and new things into our life. And so when we kind of can let go enough and surrender enough to the ebb and flow of life, right? Things come in, things flow out. Like we really become profoundly connected to who we really are and what really matters to us. And purpose just shows up. So I always tell people, don't worry about purpose. Like, you don't have to chase after it. You just need to look inside and heal and get powerfully connected to who you are. And purpose will come when you're in the shower, right? Or you're driving somewhere or you're on a treadmill. Like it will just show up, and it will show up so powerfully that you can't even try to run from it. You will feel so oh my gosh, I have to do this, right? And maybe what you have to do today isn't what you're going to be doing 20 years down the line, but it's the first stepping stone, right? And then it becomes courage and saying, okay, I took the first step and now I see a second step and I'm going to take that one, right? And then I know the third step's going to show up, and then the fourth step, right? And I call it the cosmic scavenger hunt. You keep stepping out with faith and courage because it worked before, right? And you're like, okay, well, this is presenting itself to me now. And you literally start attracting things into your life, those next level experiences that help you grow a business and grow yourself personally.
Wow, that's really powerful. I love the way you said that, because it's so true. It can become this thing that happens, right? Where we get okay, I feel something inside, I have to figure out what is it? I have to figure out what I need to do. What's my purpose? What's my purpose? And it can almost get us stuck back into our head again, where we're trying to think our way into alignment instead of feeling our way and being first, right? Being in the energy first. And then from there, just trusting that the purpose will reveal itself and that it can't. And sometimes thinking too much about our purpose keeps us stuck in our heads versus our soul. So, wow, that's really so simple and yet so radical. I love that. And I also too want to really just go back and emphasize that beautiful willingness to release what we have outgrown. And I think so many of us have almost, I love that you have a practice for people, because there is almost a mourning that goes through, and it's almost like we need a ritual to gracefully release that which no longer serves us. And trust, that comes to trust too, right? Can we trust that when we are able to release the grip and let it go, that beautiful new opportunities and maybe things that we can't even fathom right now we make space for them. And certainly the entrepreneurial journey is a place where this muscle gets strengthened, being able to not have attachment to outcomes, sort of the ebb and flow of creativity, the ebb and flow of clients, the ebb and flow of finances. So what advice do you have for entrepreneurs that are looking to bring some of this alignment into the way that they do business, and kind of how to navigate, I guess, the flow and to operate without attachment to outcome? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all comes down to energy. In my book, The Soul Frequency, Your Healthy, Awakened, and Authentic Life, I really talk a lot about the levels of healing, which are physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and healing ourselves holistically on all of those levels, because all that does is align your energy. It becomes it's like everything just kind of locks in, right, to place. And everything that you mentioned, whether it's attracting clients or building a business or, living a happy life or feeling fulfilled, is an energy. Energy creates that, right? We create momentum with our energy. We create momentum with our thoughts. And in the book, I teach people what I call the creation equation, which is exactly how we've created our entire life. Even if you've created things that you don't like, right? So oftentimes we're using our creative, energetic power to create situations where it's lack, fear, struggle, all these things we don't want to be experiencing. And it's just really because it's a shame that we don't get taught our creative powers, right? When we're little kids, we should be taught this in school. And then we can learn how to create purposefully. So then we use the exact same way we created what we don't want is the same way we create what we do. And we get into energetic alignment. And once you learn that equation, which I go into a lot of detail in the book about it, you can really bring yourself into alignment and your business into alignment. And again, to me, those aren't even separate. Right? Like you get yourself personally into alignment, your business is going to fall into that same alignment. Because again, it's at a certain frequency. If you're living at a high frequency where you're experiencing, emotions that are like joy and enlightenment and happiness and love and giving, that is going to be reflected in your business, especially if you're a solopreneur, because, there's not anybody else putting energy into your business at the current time. And even once you have employees, we have a team that works with us, and I'm just very mindful of the energy of the people on the team. And we do processes to make sure we're all in alignment and we're clearing our energy, because that matters. And, as time goes on, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, all of this stuff will be very common conversation that people will understand about building businesses and, and personal development. It's just, this is a newer frontier and it's exciting. And so to be able to learn this now and really start using these principles in your life is game changing for people. It has been for everybody I've worked with and for myself and anybody that I share this with. And so I'm happy I finally was able to sit down and write a book about it. So really anybody can access it.
Would you be willing to share one of those exercises or rituals or practices you have with your team? Maybe just something that you guys do to make sure that you're all in alignment together?
Yes. So there's so many different, I coined a term frequency hacking, just like biohacking, if you ever heard the term biohacking. Yeah. So frequency hacking is really looking at the energy in your life. So there's a number of ways to look at that. And we do this throughout our team. So there's energy in words, right? There's energy in our name. There's energy in the letters of our name, in the numbers that correspond with the letters of our name. There's just so many ways to look at how we're feeling in the day is energy, right? Like if we show up to work on something and we're not in a good place, that is putting that energy into what we're doing. And because I'm intuitive and I feel people's energy, I'm just very aware of like our team and where everybody's energy is at. So if it feels off to anybody, we stop working on what we're working on. And we all kind of, we're on Voxer together and different, things. And so we all kind of come together and everybody, I think what's different about my company versus when you work for a large corporation, let's say, if you come to work and you've had a bad day, like nobody really cares. They're like, sit down and do your work. You know what I mean? Like, we just need to get this stuff done. And I understand that if somebody's in a bad place and they're experiencing these feelings, which we all feel, right? We all have bad days. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we're putting that energy, it's better to just stop and be there for that person, right? Like, let's not put the energy into the project. Let's clear that energy. Let's all be there for each other. And then let's continue the project. And guess what? The project gets done faster, right? When we're all in a great place and we're feeling good and we've been heard and we have purged whatever emotion we need to purge. Like, that's part of being human. We all have feelings and our emotions are very powerful and they are energy and they need to move up and out of our body, right? So stuffing emotions is a really quick track to misalignment in your energy. You will become blocked and blocked creatively, sometimes blocked physically, which then causes physical disease. So I'm just a big proponent of like openness and transparency. And I'm fine putting the pause button on when someone needs to come together and we all need to kind of talk about anything, right? Whether it's something personal going on in someone's lives. I see us as a family and I see that everything, like when I created the book, everything in the book is energetically aligned. All of the numbers and letters like are energetically aligned in the book. Everybody who's touched the book like had their energy cleared. So these are things that, again, are subtleties that not everybody picks up on. But I see the subtleties and the subtleties matter. So the more attention we can pay, to these subtleties and it's like a tuning in, right? Like on a radio station, just starting to tune in to those little things, that listening to our intuition and following it, even if it seems silly. I mean, I tell people like at the beginning, if your intuition, like let's say you're driving home from work and if your intuition's like, I should go right, but your house is to the left, just go right. just go right and humor your intuition, and it will start giving you more and more information if it knows you're going to start following. It will become more prominent. You will hear it louder. You will feel called to follow it more. And that intuition is just your guidance system. It's your GPS for this lifetime. And the more you listen to it, the more it will give you the gold, right? And where to follow to really stay in alignment with your truth.
Well, I'm going to ask the question that I think everybody listening is thinking in their heads. Are you hiring? Just kidding. Unless you are, then feel free to let us know.
I love that question. It's really funny. Like I always consider myself hiring because we have like a very powerful team of people that are so aligned. And so when someone comes and they fit into that picture and they are aligned with that, that just builds momentum. Like you think about, for anybody that's a solopreneur or whether you own a company that has, several employees, when you have other people putting energy into your company, you're building momentum. It's like a snowball going downhill, picking up speed. You have other people's energy building for you, right? And with you, and and the momentum just starts to grow. And then more people come in and put their energy into it. And then you hear sometimes, a founder of a business, once it's big enough, kind of steps back a little bit. And the reason that they do that, or they're maybe not running everything day to day, is because there is enough momentum and enough corporate culture, right, that's in alignment that business runs off of that momentum. And that person who started it, who was putting in all the long hours and working hard at the beginning and putting all their energy into it, doesn't need to feed that system as much anymore with their energy. And so it's when you look at business building from an energy standpoint, it's very powerful. And so when people have great energy and they fit in the picture, sure, I'll hire all of you guys if you fit in the picture.
That is so badass. That is really epic. And what I love so much about that is like, I feel like when you talk to anybody who owns a business and you're like, you ask, are you hiring? Or, what does your team look like? And they're like, well, we don't have any positions available right now. Or like you ask them, and the first thing that kind of goes through a business owner's head when they get that question is, if I hire, like there's that train rate. If I hire, can I pay this person? Do I have enough money to make sure that I can sustain their life? Do I have full-time, part-time benefits? Like and all of that in my perspective, at least, is somewhat fear-based, right? Like I am afraid to say yes to this because I am afraid that I can't provide for whoever may come through the door. Whereas you're like, hell yeah. Like if you're an energetic fit, there's no way that this isn't going to create something absolutely beautiful. And you trust that everything is going to align and fall into place as it is supposed to. Like that trust that you shared is so powerful. Like if you guys are passively listening to this, please rewind about, 10 minutes or so and listen to just everything that Shanna shared about trusting your intuition and creating that muscle to listen to it and follow it, even when your head is like, no, it's you're 100% supposed to turn right. And you're like, well, you know what? I feel like I'm going to turn left. I'm just going to do it. Right? Like that is so counterintuitive. Well, is so not counterintuitive. It's counter-brain-intuitive.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's awesome. So again, I am just praising you rather than asking a question. But thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Well, this has been so wonderful. And of course, we want to share with our audience how people can get their hands on your book and where they can find out more about you. Of course, share about your podcast as well, which is a wonderful place for people to also get to know you a little bit better. But yeah, can you share with us where people can find all the things?
Yeah, so I'm the host of the Soul Frequency Show, and we talk about everything from healing your body to your mind to your heart to spirituality to conscious living to business and creating businesses. So it's a lot of different topics there. And you can find out more about the book on my website, which is thesoulfrequency.com. There's a little tab that says book. And we also have 4 bonus gifts with the book too, over $300 in bonus gifts that go along with the book to help people, really expand their energy and step in and start creating what they want. So it's kind of exciting.
Awesome. Do you have any
You guys.
do you have any final thoughts for our audience or anyone that whose intuition led them to this moment to be listening to this conversation?
Well, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So if you're listening to this, you're meant to be listening to this. And I always say, don't discount the power in like what you put yourself around. So you're taking in a very high frequency of energy with this conversation and with your guys' podcast, just like we do on my podcast. So literally you can transform your life. Like if you're listening to a couple episodes a day of a very high frequency show, that is information coming into your brain and into your consciousness that will literally start to expand and transform your life. So some people say, what can I do? And I don't know where to start. Start just by taking in great information like you guys give on this show and let that expand within you. And then just keep seeking out more and more good information. If you think about, you have 24 hours in the day, spend as many of those hours as possible taking in really positive, happy, wonderful, high vibe information, and just watch how that starts to grow and expand within you.
Love it. Oh, so good. Well, thank you so much for this beautiful time together. And we will be sure to include everything in the show notes. And I know people are going to be so excited to connect with you. So thank you so much. We're so grateful for the beautiful work you're doing in the world.
Aw, thank you guys. And I'm so grateful for you. You guys are absolute rock stars. And I so enjoyed having you on my show. And you're just wonderful. And I love the message that you're putting out into the world. So I'm grateful to be here with you and share this moment.
Oh, thanks so
Thank you.
much. We hope you enjoyed this interview with Shanna. Let us know what you thought. You can find us on Instagram at Brokeass to Badass, or come join us in our tribe on Facebook. You can find that at bledigital.com/tribe. And we wanted to announce to all of you that Brokeass to Badass, our signature 8-week coaching program for badass entrepreneurs, is open again. Doors are open. So reach out to us. Find out more. It's really, really a perfect time to get plugged into this program. The next 8 weeks could absolutely change your life. You can find out more at brokeasstobadass.com. Book a call with us. We can't wait to talk with you.